leaving from the school. They're going to go back home, okay? So Lena's on her way home. That's where we're picking up. So now we're going to be in chapter 2, and it is called A Message to the Mayor. So remember, Lena's going to be a messenger, so I wonder if this message to the mayor has anything to do with that. Okay, let me get our... Hold on. Open. 2, 3, that one. Hold on, I gotta pull up our... These are our lesson plans this week. Come on, computer, load. The computer's been going slow today. So incredibly slow. Not responding, see? Gotta pull up our reading. There we go. Now it's working. Okay. Miss Babbitt, period 7. Here we go. City of Ember audio. Okay, let me share. Okay, let me know if you guys can hear it.
Chapter 2, A Message to the Mayor.
I can hear it.
Lena often took different routes between school and home. Sometimes, just for variety, she'd go all the way around Sparkswallow Square, or way up by the shoe repair shops on Lavery Street. But today, she took the shortest route because she was eager to get home and tell her news. She ran fast and easily through the street.
What's her news, you guys? What's she gonna share?
The street at home?
She's gonna run home and tell her news. Do you guys know what her news is? She's so excited about what?
How about delivering? Whatever.
Yeah, that she's gonna be a messenger, right? About delivering messages. So she's gonna run home and tell her family.
Streets of Ember. Every corner, every alley, every building was familiar to her. She always knew where she was, though most streets looked more or less the same. All of them were lined with old two-story stone buildings, the wood of their window frames and doors long unpainted. On the street level were shops. Above the shops were the apartments where people lived. Every building, at the place where the wall met the roof, was equipped with a row of floodlights, big cone-shaped lamps that cast a strong yellow glare. Stone walls, lighted windows, lumpy, muffled shapes of people. Lena flew by them. Her slender legs felt immensely strong, like the wood of a bow that flexes and springs. She darted around obstacles, broken furniture left for the trash heaps or for scavengers, stones and refrigerators that were past repair, peddlers sitting on the pavement with their wares spread out around them. She leapt over cracks and potholes. When she came to Hafter Street, she slowed a little. This street was deep in shadow. 4 of its street lamps were out and had not been fixed. For a second, Lena thought of the rumors she'd heard about light bulbs, that some kinds were completely gone. She was used to shortages of things. Everyone was, but not of light bulbs. If the bulbs for the street lamps ran out, the only lights would be inside the buildings. What would happen then? How could people find their way through the streets in the dark? Somewhere inside her, a black worm of dread stirred. She thought about Dune's outburst in class. Could things really be as bad as he said? She didn't want to believe it. She pushed the thought away.
Okay, I'm pausing it, you guys. We've got some really good information here. We're finding out a little bit about Ember. So after hearing these descriptions, you guys, we see cracks and potholes, trash heaps, broken furniture, floodlights, but guess what? Some of the lights are out. Some light bulbs are completely gone. There's shortages of things. So what's kind of like the state of the city of Ember? Does it seem like they're brand new and crystal shiny? Or are they kind of like falling apart and breaking down?
Falling apart and broken down?
Yeah, there's like trash heaps everywhere. So it sounds like this city is not in great shape. Sounds like people are kind of worried, right, with the shortages and blackouts. Oh, that sounds scary, huh? Okay, so yes, let's keep reading. So Lena's still on her way home, so we're about to keep reading.
As she turned onto Budlow Street, she sped up again. She passed a line of customers waiting to get into the vegetable market, their shopping bags draped over their arms. At the corner of Oliver Street, she dodged a group of washers trudging along with bags of laundry, and some movers carrying away a broken table. She passed a street sweeper shoving dust around with his broom. I am so lucky, she thought, to have the job I want. And because of Dune Harrow, of all people. When they were younger,
Okay, so they're about to do a flashback, you guys. So remember, Dune's the guy that gave her the good job that she wanted. Here's the flashback. She's going to share a story about when they were younger in grade school. I think year 4, so like 4th grade, just a couple years ago. And they were doing an activity, Truth or Dare. Anyone ever played Truth or Dare before? No one's ever played Truth or Dare?
Yeah, once, but it didn't went well.
Yes. Javier's played it, okay? Jaden's played it. Okay, so in the game of Truth or Dare, you guys, if you choose truth, you have to tell a truth. If you choose dare, you have to do an activity that someone tells you to do no matter what. So they could tell you to jump over something that's really hard to jump over, or to eat something that's super gross, or, whatever the dare is. It's usually like, something that you don't really want to do. So they're going to do a dare, okay? And you're going to see, because someone gets their feelings hurt with this dare. And I'm not going to tell you who. You guys will have to tell me who got their feelings hurt. And because of it, Lena and Dune and some other guys, they are not friends anymore. So we're going to take a look at what happens. Yikes. So it's kind of like a flashback, okay? So here we go. Listen up.
Lena and Dune had been friends. Together they had explored the back alleys and dimly lit edges of the city. But in their 4th year of school, they had begun to grow apart. It started one day during the hour of free time, when the children in their class were playing on the front steps of the school. I can go down 3 steps at a time, someone would boast. I can hop on 1 foot, someone else would say. The others would chime in. I can do a handstand against the pillar. I can leapfrog over the trash can. As soon as one child did something, all the rest would do it too, to prove they could. Lena could do it all, even when the dares got wilder. She yelled out the wildest one of all. I can climb the light pole. For a second, everyone just stared at her. But Lena dashed across the street, took off her shoes and socks, and wrapped herself around the cold metal of the pole. Pushing with her bare feet, she inched upward. She didn't get very far before she lost her grip and fell back down. The children laughed, and so did she. I didn't say I'd climb to the top, she explained. I just said I'd climb it. The others swarmed forward to try. Lizzie wouldn't take off her socks. Her feet were too cold, she said, so she kept.
Okay, so what's the dare, you guys?
Climb a pole.
They're going to climb a light pole, right? Yeah. Okay, so what happened to Lena? She fell down, and any hard feelings?
Nah.
No, they were just laughing about it, right?
She laughed.
Okay, so a few more friends are going to climb the pole. Let's see who gets their feelings hurt.
Kept sliding back. 40 pin wasn't strong enough to get more than 1 foot off the ground. Next came Dune. He took off his shoes and socks and placed them neatly at the foot of the pole. Then he and started upward, pushing with his feet, his knees sticking out to the sides. He pulled himself upward, pushed again. He was higher now than Lena had been, but suddenly his hand slid and he came plummeting down. He landed on his bottom with his legs poking up in the air. Lena laughed. She shouldn't have. He might have been hurt, but he looked so funny that she couldn't help it. He wasn't hurt. He could have jumped up, grinned, and walked away. But Dune didn't take things lightly. When he heard Lena and the others laughing, his face darkened. His temper rose in him like hot water. Don't you dare laugh at me, he said to Lena. I did but...
Oh, uh-oh. So what happened?
Yeah, that ain't good.
Dude's just about to climb up the pole, and then when he fell down, Lena starts to laugh at him.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that makes it very angry.
Yeah, so they use this word plummeting. What does plummeting mean, you guys?
Lighting.
Falling.
Yeah, it's falling. Plummeting means to fall. Okay, so to plummet means to fall. So yeah, they laughed at him, and he did not take it well, right? He gets super mad. He says, "Don't you dare laugh at me! I did better than you did. That was a stupid idea anyway. A stupid idea to climb that pole." So Dune does not seem very happy, huh? Now, wait a minute. Didn't they all laugh at Lena too? It says the children all laughed, and so
Yeah.
did she. So what's the difference here, you guys? Because Lena, she didn't get her feelings hurt when she fell and they all laughed at her. So why did Dune?
Number one was that's not number two. Okay, first of all, that's not made out.
Is Dune a little?
Different for him?
What's that, Javier?
Is it because it's different, like for him?
Yeah. Do we all feel differently? Some of us are like more serious, right? Not as jokey.
Yeah.
So in Dune's case, he's not as jokey as Lena. He got his feelings hurt. Do we run into this sometimes with a brother or sister or friends or family members?
Like
Sometimes people get their feelings hurt by what we say, huh? We got to be careful sometimes. Some people are more serious. So guess what happens? They lose their friend. It's going to talk about that in a second. So because of this, they kind of lose their friendship a little bit, which is super sad. Okay, let's keep reading.
Better than you did. That was a stupid idea anyway. A stupid, stupid idea to climb that pole. And as he was shouting, red in the face, their teacher, Mrs. Polster, came out onto the steps and saw him.
Uh-oh.
She took him by the shirt collar to the school director's office, where he got a scolding he didn't think he deserved. After that day, Lena and Dune barely looked at each other when they passed in the hallway. At first, it was because they were fuming about what had happened. Dune didn't like being laughed at. Lena didn't like being shouted at. After a while, the memory of the light pole incident faded, but by then they had got out of the habit of friendship. By the time they were 12, they knew each other only as classmates. Lena was friends with Vindy Chance, Orly Gordon, and most of all, red-haired Lizzie Biscoe, who could run almost as fast as Lena and could talk 3 times faster.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Okay, so Dune got in super trouble, right? Because he was like yelling at people. So everyone else, they were just like, la, 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 oh, the dare. But then Miss Polster comes out and catches them, and she takes Dune to the office. He gets scolded. That means kind of like yelled at. So because of that, they barely were able to look at each other after that, right? I like this phrase because it kind of helps us understand what's going on. Dune didn't like being laughed at, and Luna didn't like being shouted at. So they both did something that the other one didn't like, and neither of them apologized for it, okay? So Lena now is friends with Vindy, Chance, Orly Gordon, and Lizzie Biscoe. Okay,
I'll be right back for a minute. Okay.
that's fine. All right, we're going to keep reading here.
Now, as Lena sped toward home, she felt immensely grateful to Dune and hoped he'd come to no harm in the pipeworks. Maybe they'd be friends again. She'd like to ask him about the pipeworks. She was curious about it. When she got to Greystone,
Okay, I'm going to pause it. It's not the flashback anymore, you guys. Now this is like back to real life. So it's been a couple years. Lena's going to start as a messenger tomorrow, and Dune is going to be working in the
All right,
pipeworks.
I'm back.
She's hoping that maybe they can become friends again because Lena wants to hear all about the pipeworks. What's up, Alex?
We have fun day today.
We do. You're right. Okay, thanks for reminding me. So that means in 5 minutes, 7 minutes, about.
Yeah, can we get a new math? Mine has failed.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so in like 7 minutes. Okay, Alex reminded me that we have Fun Friday today, and you guys chose free time. So I've got to take some time off our timer so we can have some free time. Okay, so we have about 8 more minutes to read. That's fine. All right, so we're going to keep reading, but now this is back to real time. So Lena's hoping that she and Dune can be friends again.
street, she passed Clary Lane, who was probably on her way to the greenhouses. Clary waved to her and called out, "What job?" And Lena called back, "Messenger," and ran on. Lena lived in Quilliam Square, over the yarn shop run by her grandmother. When she got to the shop, she burst in the door and cried, "Granny, I'm a messenger!" Granny's shop had once been a tidy place, where each ball of yarn and spool of thread had its spot in the cubbyholes that lined the walls. All the yarn and thread came from old clothes that had gotten too shabby to be worn. Granny unraveled sweaters and picked apart dresses and jackets and pants. She wound the yarn into balls and the thread into spools, and people bought them to use in making new clothes. These days, the shop was a mess. Long loops and strands of yarn dangled out of the cubbyholes, and the browns and grays and purples were mixed in with the ochres and olive greens and dark blues. Granny's customers often had to spend half an hour unsnarling the rust-red yarn from the mud brown, or trying to fish out the end of a thread from a tangled wad. Granny wasn't much help. Most days, she just dozed behind the counter in her rocking chair.
What does that mean, to doze?
So let's look at it. RJ, have a
I
seat,
like
please.
to snooze.
Yeah, like snooze. So you guys, it's just like the rest of the city. It seems like their shop is kind of broken down. Now remember, in the city of Ember, they like to reuse things, recycle things, repurpose things. So they don't really ever throw a lot of things out, right? And so when an old shirt starts to unravel, you know how the threads kind of come apart? What they do is they'll take apart the shirt and then they'll wind back up that yarn and then make new clothes out of it. Okay, so that's Granny's job in the city, is to organize that yarn. But she's so old now that she doesn't really do a good job at it. It seems really disorganized, right? So instead of like winding yarn, she's just like dozing off. She's sleeping in her rocking chair. So let's keep reading.
That's where she was when Lena burst in with her news. Lena saw that Granny had forgotten to knot up her hair that morning. It was standing out from her head in a wild white frizz. Granny stood up, looking puzzled. "You aren't a messenger, dear. You're a schoolgirl," she said. "But Granny, today was assignment day. I got my job, and I'm a messenger." Granny's eyes lit up, and she slapped her hand down on the counter. "I remember," she cried. "Messenger, that's a grand job. You'll be good at it." Lena's little sister toddled out from behind the counter on unsteady legs. She had a round face and round blue eyes. At the top of her head was a sprig of brown hair tied up with a scrap of red yarn. She grabbed on to Lena's knee.
I like
"Lena,
it.
Lena," she said. Lena bent over and took the
What's that, Jaden?
Oh, nothing. Keep reading. I forgot to censor my mic.
No worries, no worries. So, okay, you guys, so we've got a new character. So we had Granny, and Granny, remember, she's like so old, she even forgot to like do her hair. But she remembers that Messenger's a good job, so she's happy for Lena. And then another character comes. This is Lena's little sister. Her name is Poppy. Okay, so Poppy's a little girl, right? She's so little that she has barely any hair. So she must be like a baby, right? Like 1 or 2 years old, okay? And she talks like this, Lena, Lena. So that's kind of how she talks. All right, let's see what happens next.
child's hands. "Poppy, your big sister got a good job. Are you happy, Poppy? Are you proud of me?" Poppy said something that sounded like, "Happy, happy, happy." Lena laughed, hoisted her up, and danced with her around the shop. Lena loved her little sister so much that it was like an ache under her ribs. The baby and Granny were all the family she had now. 2 years ago, when the coughing sickness was raging through the city again, her father had died. Some months later, her mother, giving birth to Poppy, had died too. Lena missed her parents with an ache that was as strong as what she felt for Poppy. Only
Okay, you guys, this is kind of tragic. So Lena's dad, he died, okay? So 2 years ago in this story, her dad had died when a coughing sickness came through. Now we have a sickness going on in our world right now, huh? COVID-19, right? The coronavirus. And yeah, so think of something very similar to that going through their city. And so Lena's dad has died, and also just a couple months after that, her mom died. This is so sad. Her mom died as well because her mom was giving birth to Poppy, her little sister. So very recently, Lena is now she's got no parents, right?
Yeah,
Which is
that's
why
a
she.
tragic one.
Yeah, it's tragic. This
Like
is.
Roy Benavides,
Mhm.
ever since he was a Vietnam War vet.
It's sad. So this is why she lives with her grandma, right?
Mother.
Yes, and her grandma, remembers, a little old, right? She's kind of forgetful. So we'll see. Lena has to do a lot of the job taking care of Poppy, right? She's got to take care of her little sister since mom and dad aren't there anymore, and grandma's kind of too old to remember to do some stuff. So let's keep reading.
Only it was a hollow feeling instead of a full one. When do you start? Asked Granny. Tomorrow, said Lena. I report to the messenger station at 8 o'clock. You'll be a famous messenger, said Granny. Fast and famous. Taking Poppy with her, Lena went out of the shop and climbed the stairs to their apartment. It was a small apartment, only 4 rooms, but there was enough stuff in it to fill 20. There were things that had belonged to Lena's parents, her grandparents, and even their grandparents. Old, broken.
It seems like their house is kind of overcrowded, right, with all of that stuff in there.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
That's why
Cracked,
I'm like
threadbare things that had.
Yes, Jaden?
I'm like that person who gets overcrowded when there's like stuff like not like people being crowded, but stuff like old things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why my
Attached
parents
and
are taking
remade
some
or
time
done
to
for
clear out.
hundreds of times. People in Ember rarely threw anything away. They made the best possible use of what they had. In Lena's apartment, layers of worn rugs and carpets covered the floor, making it soft but uneven underfoot. Against one wall squatted a sagging couch with round wooden balls for legs, and on the couch were
Will you
blankets and
give them,
pillows,
Mr.
so
Austin,
many that you had to toss
a
them on the floor
kindness
before
that
you could sit
while
down.
they work together?
Against the opposite wall stood 2 wobbly tables that held a clutter of plates and bottles, cups and bowls, unmatching forks and spoons, little piles of scrap paper, bits of string wound up in untidy wads, and a few stubby pencils. There were 4 lamps, 2 tall ones that stood on the floor and 2 short ones that stood on tables.
All right, you guys, I'm going to pause it there. So we're going to pick back up tomorrow when we keep reading our story. Actually, it might be Wednesday. Can't remember if it's tomorrow or Wednesday. But we're going to keep reading our story. So we're going to see what Lena's first day on the job is like, okay? So we're going to start at it looks like minute 11. So let me write that on my paper so I remember. Bye,
She'll
Chad.
probably have a heat stroke. Oh, if she runs like so fast. Because of hell.
So we left off on page 74. Okay. All right, you guys. We earned free time today. Okay. So you guys get